Welcome to the Schools of Excellence podcast, where we transform everyday leadership struggles into powerful legacies that impact generations. I'm your host, Chani Wilshansky, a 20-year veteran of school leadership who has helped hundreds of school leaders achieve what many thought was impossible through our signature programs, School Leadership HQ and Enrollment Engine. With our battle-tested frameworks and blueprints, leaders have achieved 90% parent retention, 50% less staff turnover, 15% improved profit margins, and increased enrollment by 25%. My mission is simple: to revolutionize school leadership by elevating the skills, the habits, and mindset of passionate leaders ready to create lasting change. Join me as we build your legacy of excellence, one transformative conversation at a time. Welcome back to the Schools of Excellence podcast. We are continuing our series on the 5 gears, and today I am driving into the enrollment gear, okay? Really transforming enrollment through an enrollment engine, through systems, through accountability. So I actually want to start off with a story of a client that we're working with. Her name is Missy, and she runs multiple locations. And one of her locations was really struggling with enrollment. And like many owners, she was kind of like crossing her fingers and toes, hoping that tours would convert, hoping that families would come in, just doing the hoping. And so she implemented 3 key systems in the enrollment gear that really transformed her enrollment. First, accountability through data. So her director that she had in that location, now they have dedicated weekly meetings to review very specific things. So if you remember in the previous episode, I explained the 4 levels of work in every single gear: strategic level, implementation level, support level, and classroom level. And so the strategic level is the owner. And so Missy sat down and really understood, what are the targets? What are the things I need to do? And then she met with the person at the implementation level, who is the director. And every single week, they review the number of tours conducted, names of each of the prospects, the conversion status, and what are the follow-up action items that this director specifically took. And before then, it was kind of like, I think I followed up. I did follow up with this one, but I didn't follow up with this one. There wasn't a clear protocol. Now there is. Again, this is not difficult to implement. It's more about the awareness to actually go do it. That's the first thing. The second thing was clear tour protocols. 24-hour response time required for inquiries, 48-hour follow-up after tours, specific outreach if families don't choose the school, consistent tour scheduling instead of just fitting them into the program, right? And then the third thing she did was tracking metrics that matter. So she actually tracked the response time, the follow-up completion rate. All of these things were actually tracked. So let's really unpack the 4 levels of enrollment in action. So strategic level. Missy, the owner, meets weekly with her enrollment director to review data and adjust strategies. This is not just checking numbers, it's understanding why tours aren't converting and creating the solutions for them. At the implementation level, her enrollment team, which are her directors, are doing tour scheduling and systems, follow-up protocols, database management procedures, etc. At the support level, her admin team is handling the daily inquiry management, the paperwork processing, and her staff at the classroom level are making sure the classroom is tour ready, making sure there's a welcoming atmosphere, documenting the learning, and being a professional presenting. And so the result was, in under 30 days, that center enrolled 80 new families for the upcoming school year and 5 new families that were converting right then and there. This is not a miracle. It's amazing that it happened, but it happened through direct work and changes in their schedule and in the way that they approach the enrollment gear. I teach all of this and more in our course of Enrollment Engine, where you can click the link in the show notes and check out Enrollment Engine. So now I want to talk about green versus red activities inside of enrollment, because what happens a lot is leaders are doing activity, but they're not aware of what activity actually drives enrollment. And I'm telling you, you'll be surprised if you audit your calendar and your director's calendar, or you look and say, what was the activity on my calendar that actually enrolled the last 3 families. It might not even be something on your calendar. It might be something that you just like remember to do on the fly when you had a second. That's not a true enrollment ecosystem. An enrollment ecosystem is really understanding how every single person on the team contributes to enrollment, and your calendar is the battlefield where everything happens. You cannot have to-do lists and post-it notes that are scattered all over the place. Everyone on the team has to understand what everyone is doing to contribute to hit these enrollment targets. This is such a critical part of understanding the power of this gear. So what are green and red activities? Red activities are things that do not drive enrollment. It's just random tour scheduling. It's posting on social media. It's, crossing your fingers and hoping. It's very generic communication. It's changing an answering machine. It's updating font graphics. It's all of that kind of stuff. Green activities, green is closest to the cash. It is profit generating activities. It's actually doing a tour. It's calling up someone who came to the tour 4 hours later. It's converting warm leads. It's doing weekly data review meetings. All the things that it's like, well, I don't have time for it. Well, you do have time for all the red things that don't even bring in the profit. It's not about you don't have time for it. You don't understand what things actually drive that. That's why I create an entire activities rubric where the school leader can sit down with their entire team and say, here are all the things that drive enrollment. What is every single person doing to actually get the enrollment target to where we need it to be? And that's the owner's job in the strategic level work under enrollment to set the target and be specific. Here's the target we need. We need 5 new kids in the infant class. We need X amount of new children in this class. That is the power of being specific and understanding the 4 types of work within each gear. It's such a critical thing to understand. And again, like I said before, the proof is Missy enrolled 80 new students for the upcoming school year and added 5 new current year students. And 2 of their 3 locations exceeded their goals through doing these specific approaches. And they're not even doing all of the things that I teach inside of Enrollment Engine. This is like the little cherry on the top kind of things. Like there is real foundational, like other systems and processes that you could be doing on top of those things to really build a phenomenal ecosystem and infrastructure for your enrollment and to actually hit your enrollment targets. So let's take a pause here and go high level here. When leaders struggle with enrollment, it hurts not just their bottom line, but it really keeps the leader up at night. You're worried. You're constantly stressed. Are we hitting the target? Are we not? What do we have to do? And this is why I talk about the strategic level work inside of enrollment, because so many times leaders think that they have to work on enrollment because it's kind of just their voice in the head that's just like, you need more kids, you need more kids, you need more kids. When really it's like, no, your enrollment is actually in a really good place to enter strategic maintenance mode. And now you can be focusing your attention on other gears that actually need way more of your time and energy and resources. But you can't know that unless you're creating the targets, unless you're tracking the targets, unless you actually understand what is it that drives the needle forward. And then you could be like, oh, okay, we actually hit our enrollment targets, which is another whole thing where leaders are constantly shifting goalposts. The moment they hit that enrollment target, they're like, oh, okay, now we're going to add 3 more kids to the next. No, you hit the goal, celebrate it. You can decide that you want to set a new target now, and now everyone's working towards that target, but rarely do you actually need to set a new target. Most of the time it's like, okay, the enrollment is where it needs to be. Now it needs to enter strategic maintenance mode. What are the things we need to do to keep our enrollment in maintenance mode? That's a really great question. And it's something that we answer inside of our School Leadership HQ program. We have an entire rubric of activity that you need to do to keep your enrollment at strategic maintenance. So you have the time, the bandwidth, the capacity, the energy, the money, and the people to go work on other gears. There's an obsession with the enrollment and financial gear because those are money generated. But so many people actually have those gears pretty dialed in and it can enter strategic maintenance. But leaders are terrified to take their foot off the gas because, oh my God, what if it starts sinking? And this is the difference in understanding. What is something that drives the improvement of that gear versus what is something that actually keeps that gear in strategic maintenance? It is such a game changer to understand the difference between the two of them. because then you can really focus. So now let's go into and understand, how does the enrollment gear work inside of the calendar, and why I'm so obsessed with the 4 levels of work. Because inside of your school calendar, and I teach this inside of our program, how to actually set up a calendar where you and your admin and your support level, implementation level, everyone has visibility into what everyone is doing to drive enrollment and to hit those enrollment targets. Now, what happens a lot is we have this block on our calendar that says, follow up with these tour families, or do this thing, or send this personalized email, or whatever it is. And then something comes up, a quick fire, a this, a that, something comes up. And the thing is that you have to understand is that it's always a busy time. There's always going to be something that comes up inside of your center. There is never going to be a day that nothing came up. And I want that to sink in for a second. There is never going to be a day inside of your childcare center, inside of your school, where nothing comes up. That's not the nature of working inside of this industry. That's like a parent of a newborn baby going to sleep at night and saying, I really hope the baby doesn't wake up tonight in the middle of the night. I really hope the baby does wake up in the middle of the night, because they're 6 weeks old and they can't sleep for 7 hours straight without eating. Their stomach is the size of a peanut. They actually need to eat. So you're wishing for things that aren't supposed to happen. Not even wishing for things that, like, I really hope it would be a best case scenario if it didn't happen. It's not a best case scenario for a baby not to wake up in the middle of the night. It's actually a worst case scenario. A baby should wake up in the middle of the night. The baby needs to eat in the middle of the night because the baby's stomach is tiny. When you are running a child care center, this notion of dreaming of the day where no one will disturb you, well, no one will knock on your door, well, there will be no fire to put out, well, nothing will happen, and you'll just be able to be in your flow state. It's not only this like false reality, it's actually not supposed to happen. You're working with humans. You're working with moving targets. You're working with people. So of course there's going to be things that are going to come up throughout the day. That's part of living and breathing. It's part of the joys of getting to be on this planet. Now, because we fight that so much, we forget to realize that there's so many beautiful systems and workflows and communication protocols that we can put in place that can make those disturbances not disturbances, grievances, or annoyances, but can actually turn them into, oh, this is an opportunity to practice a boundary. This is an opportunity for me to self-regulate. This is an opportunity for me to pause. This is an opportunity for me to practice discernment. This is an opportunity for me to practice emotional regulation, as opposed to this is an annoyance and just get out of the way so that I can go back to doing my job. It's kind of like when I was coaching, when I used to coach teachers and I used to do a lot of teacher training. One of the things that would come up a lot is teachers would say things like, well, I'm running a circle time, but this kid interrupted and then it kind of totally took over the circle and I had to stop what I was doing and, take care of this child. And I said, that's your job. The job is not I teach the circle and everyone watches my performance and shuts up while I teach. Your job as the teacher in a childcare facility is learning and modeling to the children how to work with their emotions while they're sitting in a learning circle with a lot of external stimuli, with a lot of sensory overload that's coming at them, with a lot of distractions, with different lighting, with noises, and teaching them how to work through that. So when the child disrupts the circle, it's not, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. No, the child's supposed to do that. That's part of it. And you need to learn the skills of how to regulate, of how to pause, of how to take a breath, of how to calm yourself and invite learning and role modeling in that moment. Now, I know you're listening to this and you're thinking, I would love if my teachers did that. Great. Let's start with you. I would love when you can learn and invite yourself to embrace that disturbances throughout the day are supposed to happen. And it's actually your invitation to learn how to regulate, to learn how to lead, to learn how to practice discernment. There's the really famous movie. And I forget what it's called, so I'm sorry because I actually never watched it. I just saw different clips of it. But it's a really also just great concept for everyday life. When you ask God for patience, or you ask God for kindness, or you ask God for whatever it is that you're asking for, higher power God, whatever it is, does he just give you patience? Or does he give you a child so that you can learn how to practice patience? He doesn't just give you patience. You're not just given, oh, here you go. You asked for patience. Here you go. No, he gives you consistent opportunities for you to practice patience. You want to learn how to lead. You want to learn how to build an incredible center. You want to learn how to unbelievably up-level your enrollment gear or any gear. This is your invitation. It's your invitation to design a calendar that actually reflects the daily disturbances and disruptions of running a center. You design an ecosystem and infrastructure that reflects what it means to work with young kids and adults and inside of a building. That's what we teach inside of enrollment ecosystem. That's how every system is designed. These systems and frameworks that I teach are not designed in a laboratory. They're not designed in theory inside of my head. They are battle tested inside of real schools with real people, with real kids, with real problems, with people who knock on the door all the time. That is the way the system is designed. So your invitation here is pause for a second and ask yourself, do I need to work on my enrollment gear? Do I need to understand how all these things work together? Do I want to actually break free from the constant excuses and these mindset blocks that I keep telling myself? I'm the only one. It has to be done this way. This is quality. This is this. This is your invitation. Download the 5 Gears diagnostic. Take the diagnostic. Would love to invite you for a profit and growth session. All of those links are inside of the show notes. We can have a conversation. We can see what gear you actually need to work on. Maybe it's enrollment, maybe it's another, maybe it's enrollment in a different gear. And we can give you the pathway, the custom pathway that you need to actually have transformative results in your center with all of the stuff that are going on. This is your invitation for relief, for peace, and for just knowing that this is possible. So that's a wrap on our enrollment gear. Again, go to schoolsofexcellence.com to download your diagnostic. And next week, we're going to dive into the financial health gear inside of our 5 Gears framework.